Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan has joined a growing fury in parts of the Muslim world, demanding a boycott on French goods. It's over images being displayed in France of the Prophet Muhammad, which some Muslims consider blasphemous. Erdogan, who has a history of fraught relations with France's President Macron, said the country was pursuing an anti-Islam agenda. In Bangladesh, protesters unfurled placards with a caricature of the French leader and the words "Macron is the enemy of peace." In the Middle East, a Jordanian supermarket began removing French products from its shelves on Sunday in what was said to be a protest against comments by Macron on, quote, Islamist separatism. Shopkeepers at the supermarket covered up shelves alongside signs explaining why. The spat follows a knife attack outside a French school on October 16th, in which an 18-year-old man of Chechen origin beheaded Samuel Paty, a 47-year-old middle school teacher who'd shown pupils cartoons of Muhammad. French officials said the beheading was an attack on the country's core value of freedom of expression, including the right to publish the cartoons. Macron has said he would redouble efforts to stop conservative Islamic beliefs subverting French values.
The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam.
Do you think Islam is at war with the West?
I think Islam hates us. There's something there there's a tremendous hatred there. There's a tremendous hatred. We have to get to the bottom of it. There is an unbelievable hatred of us.
In Islam itself?
You're going to have to figure that out, okay? You'll get another Pulitzer, right? But you're going to have to figure that out. But there is a tremendous hatred, and we have to be very vigilant. We have to be very careful, and we can't allow people coming into this country who have this hatred of the United States.
I guess the question is,
and of people that are not Muslim.
I guess the question is there a war between the West and radical Islam, or is there a war between the West and Islam itself?
It's radical, but it's very hard to define. It's very hard to separate because you don't know who's who.
I know there have been difficulties these last few years. I know that the trust that binds the United States and Turkey has been strained. And I know that strain is shared in many places where the Muslim faith is practiced. So let me say this as clearly as I can. The United States is not and will never be at war with Islam.
In a letter dated 22 January 1870, Mazzini wrote to Pike. Now, Albert Pike is this high mason who wrote the manual, if you like, of Scottish Freemasonry. He said the following: "We must allow all of the federations to continue just as they are. It must appear as things are as they were in the beginning, with their systems, their central authorities, and diverse modes of correspondence between high grades of the same right, organized as they are at present, but we must create a super right, which will remain unknown, to which we will call those Masons of high degree, whom we shall select. With regard to our brothers in Masonry, these men must be pledged to the strictest secrecy. Through this supreme right, we will govern all Freemasonry, which will become the one international center, the more powerful because its direction will be unknown." Now, Albert Pike wrote a letter to Mazzini, and that was dated August 15, 1871, in which he propagated that there should be a world order, a one order where all nations are under the control of one central organization. And in order to achieve this, they planned, and there are numerous quotes for this, so I've put a number on the screen because some will say, I don't trust this, I don't trust that, I don't trust the other. Here are references down there, there are references up there, there will be references in other slides, so it comes from different sources. He said, and this was, by the way, on display in the British Museum and could be seen there until it was taken away. The First World War, to overthrow the power of the Tsars in Russia, protector of orthodoxy, and bring about an atheistic communistic state. Did that happen? Yes. Now that was written long before this event. Long before this event. This was written in 1871. This war broke out in 1914. The Second World War, that's also written long before the event, to originate between Great Britain and Germany, to strengthen communism as antithesis to the Judeo-Christian culture, and bring about a Zionist state in Israel. Did it achieve this objective? Yes. In fact, after this war, Israel, in its present form, was reinstated under the protection of Britain. And then, interestingly enough, a Third World War, a Middle Eastern war involving Judaism and Islam and spreading internationally. That's fascinating. Is that on the cards, or what do you think? Certainly sounds like we are on track. Well, here's another quote, just in case people don't like that quote. Mazzini with Pike developed a plan for 3 world wars so that eventually every nation would be willing to surrender its national sovereignty to a world government. The first war was to end the Tsarist regime in Russia, the second to allow the Soviet Union to control Europe, the Third World War was to be in the Middle East between Muslim and Jews and would result in Armageddon. Interesting. Now, how were they going to do it? Let's read what Albert Pike wrote about these wars and how they were going to be unleashed. He wrote, quote, "We shall unleash the nihilist and the atheist," so the destroyer and the atheist, "and we will provoke a formidable social cataclysm which in its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism. Origin of savagery and the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the minority of revolutionaries will exterminate these destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, will receive the pure light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer. The destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time." Wow, what a clever plan. So you rub the two systems which you create up against the other. You create atheism as an antithesis to the Judeo-Christian culture. You have these two clash until they rub each other up, and then out of that you will get a new world order where you have a new religion which is far more esoteric and actually honors Satan. Isn't that a rather clever plan? Well, it's very successful. That is why Ordo ab Cao is the verse, if you like, that Freemasonry uses. This is one of their documents, remember, that I photographed in a Masonic lodge.
Donald Trump is doubling down on claims he made over the weekend that he saw thousands of Muslim Americans in New Jersey celebrating after the September 11th terror attacks. Trump first made the remarks at a rally Saturday and then stood by them Monday night at an event in Columbus, Ohio.
During a speech recently, I said that I saw in parts of New Jersey, Jersey City, but parts of New Jersey, I saw people getting together and in fairly large numbers celebrating as the World Trade Center was coming down, killing thousands of people, thousands and thousands of people. People are still dying over what happened to the World Trade Center, and they're dying a terrible death. And I saw people, and I saw them on television, and I read about it on the internet, and I read about it. So they said, "Oh, we can't find anything, Mr. Trump." The reporters are calling all day, all night. They want to find out, did Trump make a mistake? So I have some good people. And they checked and they checked. And believe me, it's being cleared off, plenty of stuff. They don't like that, because that's not good for the liberal cause, right? But they don't like it. And lo and behold, I start getting phone calls in my office by the hundreds that they were there and they saw this take place.
So what do you think of my Trump Home mattress collection by Serta? Finally, the same luxury and comfort I demand in my hotels.
Oh, they'll never count sheep again.
Listen, why don't you come work for me?
What do you have in mind?
Something you were born to do.
Welcome to Room 9.
Looking good, number 9, looking good.
Where's your dignity?
I'm not gonna hurt you, Natalie. Remember me. Remember who I am.
That's a Freemason symbol.
Was Coronado in the Masons?
One ring to rule them all.
Maybe one of these Red Indians wandered into Whitechapel and indulged his natural inclinations.
President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu have signed an agreement with the United Arab Emirates. Here on my channel, we focus a lot on symbols, symbolism, subliminal messages. So when I first saw this coin, it really blew me away. This right here is yet another example of the occult forces that work in the shadows in this world at work. It's similar to money magic. Money itself is sigil magic. The New World Order put its plans on paper and they called it money. Millions of people around the world are carrying this around in their pockets. Money itself is a primary example of this sigil magic, lesser magic. So it's interesting that they chose to place this imagery on a coin. Once again, we're back to money. And here they are showing us their plans on this currency. From a very basic standpoint, when I first looked at this imagery, I couldn't help but notice, starting from the base of the symbol as it works up, you see the sword itself starts to disintegrate into all of these different symbols. What's most interesting is the symbol they chose at the top, or it's the symbol at the end of the road. All of these symbols leading to the dove of peace, peace and security, peace and safety. But what comes after that? Saturn. Some of you may not understand the significance of this, but Saturn represents Satan. It goes back to Rome. They worshipped Saturn, celebrating Saturnalia, and the Greeks worshipped Kronos. Same deity, both represent Satan, which leads to the black cube. You also need to understand about the black cube of Saturn and the connection to the Jewish priests who wear the tefillin, or the black cube, on their foreheads. It's also interesting to note that we find the black cube in Mecca. And here you see the Muslims walking circles, or rings, around the black cube of Saturn, Satan. So leading up to this peace and safety, and afterwards Saturn or Satan, we find that the sword guard is wrapped in prayer beads. Prayer beads only serve one purpose, and that's to count repetitive prayers. Both Islam and Catholicism share their love of prayer beads, which came from pagan traditions. On the guard of the sword in the middle, we can see the Babylonian sun wheel, and this goes back to Rome again and pagan worship. It's also known as the Wheel of the Year. And then we have the satellite dish with Wi-Fi and binary code. This seems to reflect our current state of Big Brother surveillance in some ways. And next we have the gears. The gears go back to time, and that goes back to Saturn. We also have a syringe to represent the vaccine for their crown virus. Moving on from there, we have the date palm tree. And it's interesting, the Latin name for the date palm tree is the Phoenix dactylifera. When you look at all of the symbols on the sword, and so many of them have to do with technology, you may have been wondering to yourself, why is there a palm tree there? And I think I found the answer. It's not just a palm tree, it's a date palm. And what's most interesting about this is that the Latin term for the date palm is actually the Phoenix dactylifera. I believe that's why they put the date palm on the sword among all of the other symbols, showing us their end game. The eagle, sometimes the double-headed eagle, also the phoenix, is a symbol of great power and endurance. The Romans, the House of Habsburg, the House of Rothschild, the Nazis, and the United States have all used this symbol. But more specifically to the phoenix itself, we find that symbolism popping up all over the place. The phoenix as a symbol itself has become a very common symbol for the New World Order, or for this beast system. This last decade has seen a real explosion in symbolism on everything. Movies, TV shows, corporate logos. All of it is coming to light now. In this beast system, the phoenix is a symbol of chaos, total destruction, and then a rebirthing, a rising from the ashes. And this rising from the ashes, this phoenix, is the NWO itself, or that final Antichrist beast system. But as we find with many symbols, they have multiple meanings. It's interesting to note that in Islam, they view the date palm as the tree of life. But in Judaism, the palm represents peace and plenty. And of course, there's also that connection between the tree of life and the Kabbalah. Also, the palm tree was a sacred sign of Apollo in ancient Greece. So of course we find Apollo. Apollo is the sun god. He's another representation of Lucifer, the sun god. Sun god, Lucifer, Satan, Saturn. Something else to consider, finding that palm tree symbol among all of the symbols of technology. Perhaps it's a nod to how they've been placing these 5G towers in these palm trees all around America. Also, looking back on the sword, we find satellite, 5G, Wi-Fi, NASA. And all of those symbols are leading up to the dove that represents peace. I believe this harkens back to what the Bible says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes. And lastly, we find all of this symbolism connected back to another example of the occult, or hidden in plain sight. The Denver International Airport murals. They've since covered up the Denver Airport murals, but you can still find pictures of them. These murals are another example of hidden in plain sight, also of lesser magic and predictive programming. So here we find this figure, and he has the eagle on his hat. In some ways he's resembling a Nazi or fascism. He has the same sword from the coin, and we also find the dove here. Of course, in this mural, this figure is killing the dove, or destroying peace. Right here on this mural, we can see the effects of the phoenix. Total chaos, total destruction, the death of peace, and then after peace comes Satan, or Saturn. Just like money, just like all the symbols we see in movies and TV shows and corporate logos, their plans have been in front of our face all along. Steadily, and more quickly now over this last decade, we're seeing all of these pieces come together and fall into place. Everything is moving quickly now towards the end game of this beast system. Total control and total enslavement of humanity. So now...
Beaner Fair doesn't agree with me, but the price sure is right.
This is so perfect. Amanda Beckett is single. And on the night of this party, a party I'll be attending, a party she'll be attending, it's all falling into place. It's like it's fate. It's mine. My own. My precious.
Precious?
I see.
Lass einen am Leben. Na, unter die Hand rein.
It is true. Gilbert, what if something were to happen to you? Something unforeseeable, something sudden, random.
Make a deal with me, kid. You can have the car and everything that goes along with it. Looks like we got ourselves a contract. We shake hands. If you can't trust the man you've hired to kill your wife, then why know you?
That's a Freemason symbol.
Smooth to the touch.
Easy, Tiger.
This ruby, fallen from the very brow of ancient kings, a true crown jewel.
Suitor's pain.
What a
You have to go with what he says. He's never let us down yet.
Oh, I see. Another mystery.
Have one of your people check her out.
You know I can't do that. One whisper of this wouldn't just destroy Deputy Prime Minister Strong, it would bring down the whole government.
Where you want it?
Bay 12, please. I love DJing. I love music. What's your dream playlist?
What is the profession?
Yeah, which profession are we talking about?
Just look at it. Is it a legal profession? Of course it's legal. It's the name of my profession.
I'm trying to read it.
Okay.
It's too many diamonds. Ah!
Yeah, that's too bright. That's too bright.
Well, anyway. Oh, Mason, are you a Mason?
Of course I am.
Okay. You have a secret ceremony?
Well, you might as well put your pinky out when you drink your drink.
Of course I am.
Wow. Put your pinky out.
Are you involved in the secret ceremonies? Stop it.
Destroy it!
No.
Isildur!
You with me, Jimmy?
In the
book says we may be through with the past, but the past ain't through with us.
I shall tell you where we are. We are in the most extreme and utter region of the human mind. A radiant abyss where men meet themselves. I see you. There is no life in the void. Only death.
I don't understand that. I don't understand, sir.
Hell, Netley. We're in hell.
I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened.
So glad Jesus saved my soul. Oh, I'm so glad Jesus saved my soul. You know, I'm so glad. Oh, Jesus saved my soul. Well, He saved my soul and made me whole. Now you know I'm so glad Jesus saved my soul. Oh, I'm so glad Jesus saved my soul. You know I'm so glad. Oh, Jesus saved my soul. Well, He saved my soul and made me whole. Now He put love in my heart, judging. I'm so glad about. Oh, love in my heart. You know I'm so glad about. Now He put love way down in my heart, and I'm so glad. Yes, I am. Well, He saved my soul and made me whole. Now He put joy in my heart, judging. I'm so glad about. Oh, joy in my heart. You know I'm so glad about. Now He put joy in my heart, Lord, and I'm so glad. Yes, I am. Well, He saved my soul and made me whole. Now He gave me peace. Yes, He did, judging.